It saddens us what our dear country and Arab, sisterly and friendly countries have been subjected to, from unprecedented attacks that can't be justified under any pretext by Iran. As Bahrain's king publicly blasts Iran for unjustifiable attacks, is Tehran preparing to answer back with its own evidence of how this war really started in the Gulf? Just as Arab leaders turn up the rhetoric, Tehran replies with a savage counterclaim, saying its missiles were a response to US HIMARS launches from inside the neighbourhood. Is Iran now exposing a shocking detail? That missiles striking its territory are being launched from inside Gulf residential areas, rather than from declared battlefields? Does the discovery of an empty ATACMS tube in Kuwait's desert finally fuel the rumors that US HIMARS batteries near cities are part of this shadow war? As Arab capitals face Iranian missiles and US pressure, are key Gulf nations being backed into a corner by Washington and Israel's decisions more than by Tehran's? Amid rising backlash over its strikes on Gulf territory, Iran is trying to flip the script by circulating what it calls proof that its attacks are defensive responses, not first blows. On March 8th, Tehran shared a video online claiming that the US HIMARS launchers have been firing missiles into Iran from neighboring countries. The clip was posted on X by Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei, who framed it as a message to critics in the region and the West. In the footage, missiles appear to roar off from what Iran says is a residential neighborhood in Bahrain, with buildings and homes visible around the launch point. Tehran argues this video is its answer to those ignoring the rationale behind its strikes, insisting it is hitting countries that allow their soil to be used for attacks on Iran. Esmail Baghaei said, and I quote, "To those who insist on ignoring the underlying justifications behind our defensive strikes against US military bases and assets in the region. Missiles are launched at Iran from the territories of neighboring countries, and specifically near residential neighborhoods. While US fighter jets use the airspace of neighboring countries to attack Iran, thereby endangering regional security." Unquote. Iran's pushback came just after the Arab League met on March 8th and formally criticized Tehran for missile strikes on member states. Arab League chief Hamad branded Iranian strikes on Arab territory a huge strategic mistake that risks dragging the whole region deeper into war. He condemned what he called unjustified Iranian aggression and demanded that all such attacks stop immediately. Bahrain's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa echoed that tone, saying the Iranian strikes cannot be justified under any pretext. It saddens us what our dear country and Arab, sisterly and friendly countries have been subjected to, from unprecedented attacks that can't be justified under any pretext by Iran. Bahrain has always been, and will remain, a nation of peace that has never initiated hostilities against anyone and has only pursued the path of cooperation and good neighborliness. Despite the challenges, Bahrain, with God's help, will remain steadfast in its approach of wisdom and moderation, confidently and resolutely fulfilling its obligations towards its Arab neighbors and the international community. On this basis, we join the Board of Peace that is concerned in the reconstruction of Gaza as a sincere expression of our country's clear positions and the alignment of its policies with efforts aimed at promoting peace, reconstruction, and creating the conditions for stability. Iran is continuing its barrage on US assets under the banner of True Promise 4, signaling that the current wave of retaliation is far from over. On March 9th, residents in Doha reported several explosions as Iran's latest salvo of missiles and drones targeted sites linked to US operations. Kuwait, for its part, said its air defense systems were actively intercepting incoming missiles and drones, trying to keep the war from spilling deeper inside its borders. Local reports have highlighted an empty US ATACMS container found in the Kuwaiti desert, fueling talk that HIMARS launchers they are firing into Iran. ATACMS is a short-range ballistic missile system that HIMARS can fire out to roughly 300 kilometers, putting parts of Iran within reach from Gulf territory. However, Hindustan Times could not verify that ATACMS were actually used from Kuwaiti soil. In Bahrain, an Iranian drone strike reportedly hit Sitra Island, with locals describing 2 loud blasts and flashes in the night sky. Iranian sources now say the target list will widen beyond strictly military bases, hinting that infrastructure linked to US and Israeli power could be next. One source quoted by Fast News claims US and Israeli economic and strategic hubs across the region are now formally on Iran's strike list. Officials in Tehran argue this shift is a direct response to US-Israeli raids that have wrecked key fuel and infrastructure sites inside Iran. On March 7th, Israeli jets hit several Iranian fuel depots, sending balls of fire and plumes of smoke into the air around Tehran and other cities.